Hey, David, on balance, do you think that the protests help or hurt Donald Trump? I think that they hurt him. I believe that early the idea that Trump had was that they would help. I just think he miscalculated. There is no question that when you see protests, some small portion of which end up having some violent elements and arrests taking place, arson, looting, etc. Certainly Trump's base is activated. They are motivated. They become more enthusiastic about voting for Donald Trump. I don't deny that. The problem is, I think that the protests are really hurting Trump with everybody who's not already committed to him. And if you only are pleasing the people already voting for you, you can't make up a 3, 5, 7, or 9 point popular vote deficit, which is what different polls claim Donald Trump is currently experiencing. Most people aren't falling for, if you see a violent confrontation in Portland, that's what you will have under Joe Biden's America. Most people aren't falling for that. Most people are accurately recognizing, wait a second, Biden's America, Trump's president right now. This is happening in Trump's America right now. And it reminds me a little bit of the situation when Donald Trump was asked about earlier in coronavirus, do you take responsibility for this or that? And Trump said, I take no responsibility at all. Apply that logic to the protests and to the elements of the protests that have been violent, which again is very, very small. And Trump actually spotlights those incidents thinking it will hurt Joe Biden. And he says it's Biden's fault that this is happening. It's radical Marxist fault that this is happening. And it will be even worse if they win. It's backfiring because it doesn't pass the sniff test. And what this ultimately gets back to is that Donald Trump was a much stronger candidate running as an insurgent who had not had a career in politics and who could sort of credibly criticize whoever is running and whoever is in power. Trump's been president now for 4 years, and yet he's still trying to run like an insurgent. Trump is still saying, you've got to reelect me so I can do the wall and do health care and do more taxes and all of this other stuff. He's been president for 4 years, and it's a gambit that I believe has failed him. He may still win for other reasons, but I think continuing to run as an outsider, even though he's been president now for 4 years, I think it's a mistake. And if you look at the polling data, you see it. When the unrest happened in Wisconsin, there were people saying this is going to hurt Joe Biden and it's going to hurt Democrats. You had enlightened centrist grifters, right, saying Trump just won. The Senate is going to stay Republican because of what's going on in Wisconsin. A lot of pundits jumped all over that. Not pundits, as some say, pundits. Come on, we know the word, Pundit. And in fact, Joe Biden is polling slightly better today in Wisconsin than he was when Jacob Blake got shot. It's marginal. It's a small delta, but things have not gotten worse for Joe Biden in Wisconsin since that happened. And I think that what's happening are two different things. One, most people aren't buying that what we're seeing has anything to do with Joe Biden. It's happening under Donald Trump, and Trump's actions have actually worsened it. When Trump sent federal agents like jackbooted thugs to areas with unrest to carry out, authoritarian Soviet style tactics, throwing people into vans and all of this stuff, he could have instead used the bully pulpit to say, we are demanding federal investigations of the police officers and departments involved. This is not what the next 4 years are going to look like in America. He could have listened to people on systemic racism, right? He could have done it differently. And I think he'd be cruising to re-election if he had done that and paid more attention to the virus for sure. But instead, he didn't do that. And it has fomented the feeling that things are unstable. And instability tends not to be good for the incumbent. So that's my bottom line. I think that Donald Trump's base is certainly enthusiastically going to vote for Trump because of the protests, but they were going to vote for Trump anyway. Maybe they're just doing it slightly more enthusiastically. I think with everybody else, the protests have been very, very bad for Donald Trump.